So you want to beat Sakupen Hell at some point in time? Well, you came to the right place. As a recent Sakupen Hell victor, I have all the tips and tricks fresh in my mind, so without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Sakupen Hell is a 1.9 level created and hacked by noobs. It was originally designed to be impossible before going through some nerfs and was eventually verified in 2.0 by Trusta. Not only would this kickstart Trusta's career, but the rate of this level would dethrone the most popular and influential extreme demon in the game, Bloodbath, as the hardest level in the game. Sakupen Hell is a 50-second level filled with extremely tight, ballsy, and inconsistent wave gameplay, mixed in with some considerably difficult ship and UFO segments. There are two important things you need to grasp from that. One is that it dethroned Bloodbath, but is it really harder? And how much harder is it than Bloodbath? As a victor of both Bloodbath and Sakupen, I can confirm that Sakupen is considerably harder than Bloodbath. In fact, I would not recommend you play this level if Bloodbath isn't your hardest or at least under your belt. The decision is up to you, but I would at least have Bloodbath done before even thinking about this level. The second important thing is that this level was formerly impossible, meaning it is not well designed and it wasn't even intended for anybody to beat in the first place. You must first know what you're getting yourself into. The wave gameplay is unorthodox. Naturally, wave is meant to be played like this. If the wave was made to go up, it's intuitive to hold for a long period of time. This level blurs the two concepts together by making you repeatedly press diagonally upwards in order to progress. The second and third wave is basically playing chicken with your surroundings, getting as low or high as you possibly can before clicking to enter the corridors. The mini waves in this level are extremely inconsistent and volatile. The UFO and ships are the only traditional segments of the level, but still requires a decent bit of raw skill to pass. And finally, almost every single transition is bad, making these segments a lot more RNG feeling than they should feel. If you still want to proceed after knowing all of this information, then you're in the right place. We'll be going over how to beat each part, practicing strategies, and mindset strategies. For this part of the video, I would actually recommend just going in and learning the click patterns. Only watch this part of the video for the tips and tricks, or if you are stuck and are unsure of how to click at a certain part of the level. What's up? So we're just learning click patterns right now. You're gonna have to bear with me because I'm recording. This is gonna lag a little bit, so I might not be able to show you as quickly as I want to. So the level starts off with this cube section. You start off, you're gonna click at the bottom right of that first blue orb. So pretty simple stuff. So the bottom right of this orb right here, I'm slowing it down. So you do full speed. That's what you want to get used to doing first. So then after that, you're gonna click here, like there's not even a portal there, okay? That portal on the yellow orb doesn't make any difference. I will say, depending on how early you click this blue orb, you're gonna have to wait a little bit to click that yellow orb. But then after the yellow orb, you click the pink orb like nothing. So I have my second start position right here, because this click will give you problems if you aren't used to it at first. So it's just a quick 1-2, okay? You can even use your space bar. But back when I was very first trying to beat this level, well, not beating, but when I was trying it, when my hardest was like a hard demon, I was like, how is it physically possible to do this? But you get used to it. So all you do is a quick 1-2 at the middle of the bottom blue orb. And so now with this mini wave, people say it's inconsistent, but there is a way that you can make it consistent. So when you're here, you're gonna wanna click as late as possible. About right here is when you want to click, okay? You wanna get as close to this cog as possible. The closer you get, you obviously don't wanna get too close because there is a too close, but just get as close to it as you can, then you'll jump, and then you can pretty much just do the click pattern into this mini wave fairly easily. Pretty simple. The chances of you being able to get through it increase dramatically if you do that. So I just did it twice in a row. The click pattern to the mini wave is kind of intuitive. It's a quick 1-2. You're gonna hold. The first one is a bit of a hold. You're gonna feel the hold. You're obviously gonna want to get a little bit lower. You're gonna want the wave to travel down a little bit. But you don't have to think about that if you're getting close to the cog. So you see how it travels and then you go up? That's kind of the difficulty of it. But you're not really thinking about it if you get close to the cog. Because when you lift your finger to click down for a second input, by the time you do that, then the wave is almost always in the position that it needs to for you to just hold up and then go here and then back down and then up again. But it's like a light hold and then a medium hold. Because your objective is to get over this bit right here. So it's going to be like a small hold and then a medium hold. And you can go up as far as you need. So you can get in this section. It'll be okay. So now with this part, because it's 2.2, this ramp won't allow you to avoid this anymore. So now, before you were able to just skip this entirely and not input. Now you have to hit this blue orb down into here, here, and then hit this orb again. And you're doing this very quickly. But in slow motion, this is what it looks like. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. In normal speed, this is what it looks like. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So just get used to that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now once you're here, it's just a matter of avoiding these spikes. You're clicking 3 times again. And then here's the first wave. This is where the fun begins. But I recommend not putting a start position like right. I don't recommend putting the start position here. Because when you play, even with start position, smart start position on, if you start from here, your point of view is different from when you actually play the level, and that can mess up your click pattern. So that's why my second start position is here, and my second one is here, and my third is beyond this choke point right here. So you can grab a copy of this version if you want to, but everybody learns differently. So if you don't want to, that's okay. So here's where the fun happens. One thing I'll say is that these first 3 clicks is the hardest part of the first wave. You will have trouble here. When you get really consistent at the level, your progress is kind of contingent on how you do like your RNG in the first 3 click. And this third click is slaughterhouse level of difficulty. Like 53% slaughterhouse click level of difficulty. You will get used to it. You know, the more you play it, you will get used to it, but it does take a while, so don't get discouraged. But basically the click pattern is like press hold, and then holding even longer. So that's what it looks like slowed down. I will say for this first click, it depends on how you learn it, but there is this little space that you can use as a visual representation. And you go down a little bit, and then there's nothing to really line yourself up with the second click. The second click is just you trying to fit your wave into here and then into this segment. But that's how it is in slow motion. If I were to imitate the click pattern in full speed, if I were to disconnect my stuff so I don't mess anything up, it's kind of like, so kind of just take that as you will. It's like a click. There are 3 distinct clicks in this first 3 click segment, and I'm just over explaining this because this is a hard segment. So it's like 1, 2, a tiny bit longer than the first one, and then the third one is a lot longer than the first 2. That's me slowing it down, just so you hear. And then full speed is like, and your release, you'll know when you get it right and you know when you get it wrong. It's just one of those timings that it's almost impossible to explain. But yeah, I'm going to show you a couple times in full speed. But this third click especially is going to make you guys very upset. And it's just the way it is. that's also one that's consistent sometimes and sometimes it's not. But just keep practicing it. It does feel more comfortable. At first, it's like, oh my god, like I'm never gonna be able to get past this. And then the more you do it, it feels a little bit more comfortable. And then when you get consistent, you know when you pass the third click. It's based on the release. Excuse me. And the reason why it's so bad is because my dog's barking. Excuse me. It's all uneven. You can die to this, you can die here, and then you can die here. It's all uneven. So it just takes a bit of practice, honestly. So now we have this one. It's a weird click pattern. I don't want to say it's hard, but it will get you a couple times. So we'll slow it down. So again, if I were to disconnect, it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just based on memory. So these first 3 clicks are variable, not per attempt, but they aren't the same. You're not holding down for the same amount of time. So for this click, you're recovering, meaning you're entering the second click from the first click faster than you are your following click. So you get past here, and the third click you're holding. So this second one is kind of fast, and then the third one you're holding down for a little bit. So once you get past the third click, that's when you need to readjust what you're doing. Remember, the second click is fast, the third one you're holding longer, the fourth click you're holding down even longer. And then the fifth click is only a matter of, the way I look at it, is getting past here, past this little arch, this corridor, this triangle, without hitting this saw. That's like the easiest way I can think of getting past there. And when it's happening in full speed, it's like your easiest point of reference is to just have your wave a little bit above this obstacle. So I'll do it in full speed. Alright, cool. Alright, cool. So, we're not done with the first wave. Then there's this mini wave. A lot of people go like this, and they say it's easier. Me personally, it was easier for me to double click. But that's just me. And they lined me up better for this part. But a lot of people say that just going like this is easier. Again, everybody learns differently. So you do what you do. Entering is kind of a bitch. You're going to want to enter, you're going to get as low as you possibly can. So you see how this obstacle is made for a normal wave and this obstacle is made for a mini wave? You kind of want to take that perception into your advantage. So you're going to be coming down like this as the wave, and then kind of in this lower third section is when you start to click up. So if we do it traditionally, that's what it looks like. But if you do it my way, this is what it looks like. Then this wave, this section is the easiest. It's your break. So once you get here, this is, in my opinion, the easiest part of the level. Not the level, excuse me, the wave. You will still die here, okay? Don't expect not to die. Don't act like it's not going to kill you, because it does. So what you do is you click once, or you could kind of fit yourself in the middle here, like that. I think Trick did that when he beat it, but Trick is top 3 best players in the entire world. So what the rest of us are going to do, depending on how you learn, is you're going to do a small click right here, and then a long click. And then, honestly, if you can get past the other parts, that part, I don't really need to explain the click patterns to you. It's like the gaps are far enough to where you can sight read it. What I will say, the only thing is watch out for this thorn right here, because you will die here a couple of times, because if, as you can see, this thorn and this one too sticks out. It's supposed to be decoration, but it will actually kill you if you're not careful. Well, other than that, this part is pretty sight readable, and it's, in my opinion, the easiest part of the first wave. So in full speed, it looks like this. and I'm lagging, and all the other parts gave me trouble, except for that one. You see how fast I'm getting past this one. So that should tell you that it's the easiest part. That should show how easy it is compared to the other parts. You're just gonna play chicken with that spike there. Press hold, and then get into this transition. So here, press hold, keep holding, because if you want to see the hitboxes, you have platforms that you can go on. So you're just gonna press hold once, press hold twice, keep holding until you're into this transition. Okay, now we are entering the hardest part in the level, in my opinion. And this is something that you're just gonna have to get the click pattern down to. So if I were to imitate the clicks without it, it would be 1, 2. Let me see if I can do it with the lag since I just did it. There you go. So that's the click pattern. Yeah, super hard part. Doesn't really get consistent, but you'll get a feel for it. The first thing that you need to know is that this transition is horrible. You're gonna need to click quickly twice. The first time is just to get over this set of spikes, and then the second time is to actually get into this corridor. Like this. I will admit, once you get a hang of it, just like any other level, I'm sure it's the same with Slaughterhouse. Like, this gap right here is a lot easier than it looks once you're used to it. You know what I'm saying? This second hold is going to be longer, or almost the same length as this first hold. A little bit longer though. And getting into the portal the way you want to is going to be important. You want to make sure your wave is in the middle of this, right? You don't want to be down here. You don't want to be off onto the sides. It's most beneficial to have your wave in the middle here. And then this next one is a hold. It's a long hold. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Long hold. You're trying to get all the way up here, so when you release, you're not hitting this. That's what you're trying to do. So short, long. This is also short, or medium hold. It's a shorter hold than the last one. And then repeat. Once you get here, it's repeat. Medium hold, long, until you're here. Medium, long. And this is a medium hold, but at full speed, you gotta finesse it. And then you kind of just like do one last click hold into here. You get a feel for this part. So you'll get a feel for it. But yeah, have a lot of practice with this and make sure that you're transitioning correctly. And I'm fighting against like a third of the frame rate that I'm used to. This part is super volatile as well. If you're misaligned on anything, or if you do anything like a little bit earlier or later than what you're supposed to, or than what you're used to, it messes up your click pattern for the rest of the parts. So consistency is the key. Make sure you try to transition so that you're in the middle of the first 2 corridors, and then it usually works out. So I have the start position here just so you get the used to, you know, how you're supposed to wrap up this wave section. Which is why my start pause is there. Just so you get a feel for how you're supposed to end that section off. Okay, so this part is also transition contingent. It relies on a good transition, which is why when you transition, you know, into the wave to begin with, you need to make sure that it's in the middle of those first 2 corridors. So like, as you can see, I have a bad transition. It's just not gonna work out. No matter what we do, it's not gonna work out. Even if I'm at full speed, it's just not gonna work out. Because as you can see, I'm way too close to this. You see where the practice marker is? I'm way too close to this. Just to show you, the middle is what's gonna work out. Yes, the transitions matter, and the fact that they're bad will mess you up. So here, you're just waiting a little bit. Get as close to this structure as you can. 1, 1, 2. Wait until the gravity portal takes its effect on you, turns you right side up. Then click twice. 1, 1, 2. 1, 2. Then you're gonna go up into these 3. So just get that part down first. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1. And then you click into these portals. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1. Click into them. And you just follow them you know, you've been playing Geometry Dash for a while. You guys know, like, the yellow, blue, yellow portals. You know what that means. Like, just click. You should be able to. You should know at this point. If you don't, it means to. We'll play Insanity first. You guys know what I'm talking about. But if you want me to explain, it's you click a split second after all of the gravity portals take their effect on you. That's the concept. That's like a major concept of this game in user created levels. So it's just 1, 2. So you click in 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This third one, people click differently. So the way I do it is I play chicken with the upper platform. With this third one, and that way I don't have to click on the next blue portal. But some people will go like this. They'll click twice, which I find harder. I click all those times when you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like that. It's like, why do that if you really don't have to? I just go like that. So it's 1, 2, 3. You're playing chicken with that upper platform right here. So that you click once, it'll turn you right side up, then you click again into this one, and then you'll get inverted, then you click into these portals. And these last 4 portals are the easiest part of this UFO section. So going over it again, my way is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I do it. So at full speed, it's like 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. And if you, for instance, wait too long to go up here, then it'll mess up the other parts. Like, you'll be too high. So the way I see it is, all you want to do is get past this hump right here. You don't want to get too close to this upper part. And in case I didn't explain the last part, so you wait a little bit, click, you're going to click twice. So wait a little bit so you don't die before you get into the portal. You have to click into this portal, but you wait a little bit. And then once you enter this portal, you're going to play chicken with this upper part. And you're going to click so you avoid this little hump right here. And then you do your 1, 2, 3, 4. So just click here. In full speed. You'll get it. I promise you'll get it. But make sure you enter it appropriately. So this part is harder than it looks. So what I do is avoid the humps. That's how I look at this part. So with this one, you're gonna want to click once to avoid this big hump right here. Avoid the hump. Avoid the hump. 1, 2, 1, 2 to kind of steady myself. Then 1, 2 again. Hold down, and then you're gonna be good. Different people do this part differently. Ship is one of the most like non-strict click pattern game modes. So you can go into that part and decide how you want to handle it. Okay, the main thing is avoiding this. Okay, so usually when you're doing the click pattern, you're going like this a lot. What you don't want to do is be released by the time you're here. You don't want to be released by the time you're here. Or you don't want to release for very long. You want to be able to catch yourself into this part. Just make sure you still have control of your ship during the transition, is what I'm saying. And sometimes you will have to adjust. Sometimes you'll go down too far and you'll have to like click less when you're going back up. It's just one of those things that happens. So if we go here again, I'm gonna go down. So I clicked down twice on that one, right? Again, 1, 2. So I straighten myself out before I hit. You don't have to, but before I hit the yellow portal, I straighten myself out, which is why you hear that extra click there. That's just what I get in the habit of doing. But you could go like this if you want to. But I think it's, like, for me, it's a bit more consistent to just straighten yourself out. In this part, all you're gonna do is click on the orbs. So for those, the gravity portals should already, you know, take their effect on you. 1, 2, 3, it's 5 distinct clicks. You don't want to click too early, and you want to make your clicks distinct. Then you hold on the last one so you can pick yourself up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's also worth mentioning that you're gonna have to wait like a split second after this third one. So after 1, 2, 3. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's a good way of thinking of it. So once you're here, a lot of people just spam. I find that it's very exhausting and inconsistent, but you can do it as I just did. What I did, because I'm on keyboard especially, also, I'd recommend playing this level on keyboard and not on mouse. I'd say mouse is objectively worse because, like, if I'm playing, I have to spam. I don't know. I just feel like you have less control on the mouse. You have to hold the input, you know what I mean? And I was using a Steel Series when I beat this level. I had this keyboard. I was using this keyboard for the majority of the time that I was playing. And I had this keycap on this key right here. The problem was that it did not feel as sturdy as this. The reason why I'm showing you is this, you know, this Steel Series. Like a tiny bit of rattle. Like you guys aren't like keyboard enthusiasts, so I mean I don't think you'd care or appreciate. But this is quite a bit of rattle, right? Listen to this. This is awful. And this is why I was fucking up. I was going back and forth from keyboard to keyboard for this reason specifically. Because I was also using the spacebar, and because the stabilizers in the spacebar are so ass for the Apex Pro TKL, it would mess up my UFO. But would I rather like risk it with the UFO or play most of the level on a shittier up arrow than this? Which is why I chose the TKL. But enough about keyboards. Whatever you play with is fine. What I did for this part, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'll disconnect. So it's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then you just do it faster. Like the important part is that you don't let up on either input. You want to be consistent. It's very easy to subconsciously like do this a little bit faster or do this a little bit slower. That's gonna fuck you up right here. So it's just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, but a little bit faster. So the spacebar controls your UFO, and then the up arrow controls the ball. So if we're to play this, that's what it is. And you're gonna line yourself up with the arrow. The point is to start doing it at the right time. If I had more frames, it would be a lot more consistent. I might like turn this off just to show you. If you want, you could also check on the UFO from time to time to make sure that it's like hitting the ground consistently. But it shouldn't even be that risky. It's only risky because I'm recording and like all these extra, like if I were to stop recording, see how like non-risky that was? Okay, so for this part, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the fourth one, you're holding down. This part is easier than the second wave, in my opinion, because your transition is better. You have more control. But that comes at a caveat. You're lined up differently. Hold down here. So it's really important to just look at where your wave is in respect to where the obstacles are in that case, because you're lined up differently. You're going from below instead of above, and that's gonna mess up your muscle memory quite a bit. But it's technically the same inputs because of that transition, or the third wave is a lot more consistent than the first one, in my personal opinion, and it's a bit easier. So hopefully you guys got a feel for the click patterns. And now we're gonna go into strategies and how you want to mentally prepare yourself, and what you should be thinking and what you should be doing during each part in order to beat this level. Let's come up with some strategies. The first thing you're going to want to do is familiarize yourself with 82 to 100%, which is the last wave. The reason for this is because you'll need to learn the foundational muscle memory for 32%, which is an identical wave section with a harder transition. The second reason is because you'll need to get used to the ending. The more you're used to it, the less nerves you will feel when reaching here from 0%. Some tips and tricks with this part is to click 4 times following this transition, and on the 4th click, hold into the mini wave. For this transition, you will be holding for a shorter period of time than you would probably think due to the sudden speed increase. So make sure that you get used to it. Of all the parts to die to in this section, 82% or the transition was my most common death. After you get a feel for this, you may start practicing the second wave. It's the same click pattern with a worse transition, and it feels slightly different since you are entering the wave from above instead of from below. Fundamentally though, the clicks are the same, which is why you want to practice the second wave from the transition. The next part you're going to want to get acquainted with is 17 to 29%. It's the click pattern you will be doing the most in this level, and most likely the section you will be dying to the most. Even though it's not the hardest section in this level, it's longer than the other wave sections, and the first 3 clicks are the hardest in the level. What that means is getting to this part will feel RNG, and therefore you do not want to mess it up. Trust me. Dying here is more demotivating than dying to the 32% wave. The strategy is to place your start position after the 3rd click so you can get used to the click pattern of this section. Because the first 3 clicks are so disproportionately hard anyways, you'll want to practice these parts separately, otherwise you're kind of wasting your time. Once you have the first wave down and can get through a bit of the second wave from the first wave, we can focus on the other sections. And because the transition to the second wave from the first wave is the easiest part in the level, you won't have to worry about practicing that part. The next section you will want to practice is either the UFO or the ship. The click pattern for the UFO isn't all that difficult to learn, and it's not a section you'll die to very often, but it'll get you a couple times, so the more you practice the click pattern, the better. Remember to enter the UFO section from the wave so you can practice getting a good transition, which is making sure your wave is directly in the middle of the corridor, which transitions you properly into the UFO. Now it's time to learn the ship. Once you get to this part of the level, nerves kick in. Expect to die here a little more often than you would hope to. It's completely okay. Figure out which click pattern works for you, or the one you are most comfortable with, and find out how you get through that section. Do you avoid the humps at the top, or do you avoid the humps at the bottom? Are you going to swing around a bunch during this part, or are you going to keep your ship as straight as possible? Once you figure it out, stick to that pattern. You will get nervous, so sometimes you might have to adjust a bit. It might cause you to crash, but that's okay. Again, try to train yourself to click how you practice. Once you get that part down, I would play around with 61 to 81 at your own leisure. Honestly, this is where the level dies down in difficulty, and you won't need to spend too much time focusing on it, as it's more conducive to focus on other parts. After that, it's time to start going for runs. Start with a 50 to 100% run, and then try to start 32 to 60 a couple times. Once you feel comfortable, you can mess around from the first wave. Now that you're accustomed to most of the level, let's focus on the disproportionate difficulty of the first 3 clicks of the drop wave. It really starts from the mini ball at 10%. Just like most of the other transitions, make sure you hit your ball in the middle of that blue pad. This will give you the most comfortable positioning on the first click. The second click is to line you up for the 3rd click, which is the hardest input in the level. The key is to release at just the right time, and to get a feel for when you need to release. What I've noticed is that when you release, if you are to die, it's better to die from releasing too early than it is from releasing too late or going too high. Know when to beat yourself up and when you're actually doing a good job. Prior to 10%, remember to put a start position at 5% so you can practice the double click, then the transition into the mini wave, and then of course from the mini wave to the mini ball. I'd also recommend not putting a start position anywhere between 10% and 17%, as it simulates the experience of the drop wave better in terms of camera angles. Again, you can use my uploaded start position version of the level. Let's finally get into the mental game. Remember that it is okay to die at certain parts and to not beat yourself up. Common deaths are at the third click at 17%, the second click after the first 3 clicks to the drop wave, the mini wave, and the transition out of the mini wave, especially with those thorn hitboxes. The second wave, or 32%, mini wave, is also a very common choke point, and even when you reach peak consistency, it's still like a 1 in 4 pass rate. It's just the way it is. It's okay to die to the UFO once in a while, but it will suck because it means you've died right after getting past the 32% mini wave. Dying to the 50% ship is normal due to nerves, but I'm not gonna lie, it does not feel good at all. I've died over 20 times to this ship from 0%. Dying anywhere from 60 to 81% isn't common and isn't a location you shouldn't be dying to very often. If it makes you feel better though, I've died in between these percentages 8 times from 0%. Deaths at 82% are super common. Unless you fluke, it will probably happen to you, and it's something you just need to expect. Nerves are high, and the part is already super difficult. Thankfully, the transition is smoother, and if you can get here from 0, it's only a matter of time before you claim your Sakupen Hell victory. I've personally died to the last wave 11 times from 0%. In Aeon Air, died there over 30 times from 0%. So trust me, we feel your pain. You need to be hard-minded and focused during the beginning. Your clicks need to be very intentional and firm. Focus on the 7% transition and the deliberate clicks into the drop wave. For the drop wave, you must be even more focused. Dying to the first 3 clicks should not demotivate you and must not knock you off your game. It's normal to die here. Once you pass the first wave, you can chill for a moment, take a quick mental breath, then focus up for the second wave all over again. For the most consistency, make sure you transition in the middle of the corridor with your second click and remain in the middle of the corridors throughout the entire section. The UFO is click pattern dependent and is an opportunity to take another mental break. Still focus, however, and make your click into the 50% ship one that will make you comfortable in carrying out the ship click pattern. Once you pass 60%, you can relax until you get to the duel. With the duel, make sure you do not let up on your clicks and that they are consistent. You have to be focused here. Transition smoothly and enter the final wave from the middle. I don't want you to think for this part. You need to trust yourself and the work you've put in. If you see that you've successfully passed 82%, don't get nervous. Get hungry. Look at the wave and make sure it's in the middle of each corridor. Finally, as long as you don't forget to start clicking for the final ship, it's basically free and you've beaten the level. I hope this helped, and remember, you've got this. You can do this. Several people before you have and several people after you will. So why not you? I hope my advice helped. If it did, let me know. If you plan on going for this level, let me know. And if this video made just any part of the process easier for you, I'm glad. Make sure to check out the links in the description. There's Discord, there's other playlists, and I will catch you guys in a future video.